The following podcast is a presentation of Project Entertainment Network.
Welcome to Staring into the Abyss. I'm your host, Richard Gerlach. With me, as always, is Marco Patrick Hicks.
I'm going to destroy this fucking show.
Matt Brandenburg.
Hi.
And the Me Mist.
Hey.
And with the show that will not be fucking destroyed, we'll be discussing Astrum by Shauna M. Thompson.
Yes.
Which you can buy on Amazon for $1.
Yes. Very good story.
Definitely recommend.
It was a wonderful short story. Well, novelette?
Yeah, maybe.
It's too short to be a novella, too long to be a short story.
Yeah, I guess it's a novelette, right? It's like 36 pages, right?
Yeah, I'd say novelette.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, 36 pages,
I think if you manage to go over 10K in words, then it's a novelette.
And I think
definitely more than 10K.
What's the math is like what? 300 words a page. So
yeah.
300 times 36.
Oh, God, I need a calculator.
Pull out your abacus.
It's fucking math.
Look, I didn't become a writer to do math.
10,800.
10,800, that's what I got.
It's a novelette.
And he's going to come out and be like, no, man, it was like 20,000 words. It was just a rough estimate. 300 words might not be accurate, but I thought that was the norm.
All right. Well, I guess I can put away my compass now, right? I don't need this protractor.
Keep the abacus out just in case.
I don't know how your compass was going to help you with that one.
Well, not like the north-south compass, but like, the thing with the needle and it's got the pencil on the other side.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's a compass, isn't it? Don't
that is a compass. I just would love to see you try to figure out a multiplication problem with a compass.
Well, I got to get oriented.
And you won't in this story.
No, not at all.
Where you were.
Also, with some recommendations from our last week involving losing orientation, I started watching brand new Cherry Flavor on Netflix.
Oh,
is it good?
Yeah.
It's fucking wild.
Yeah, I've been wanting to check this out.
Wait, it's called Cherry Flavor?
Brand new Cherry
Flavor.
I've never heard of this.
It's based off of a book that is fucking impossible to find now. I don't know why they have not brought this back into print to try to capitalize off of the Netflix series. This is wild to me.
Yeah. Well, it's based on a book that is very hard to find, and the creator or the showrunner of this show is the same guy who was the showrunner for Channel Zero.
Oh.
And he also was on the writing staff for Hannibal.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
And he also wrote a favorite short story of this podcast, The Quiet Boy.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is what, Nick DaCosta?
What? Yeah. And he's a showrunner for this and executive producer. And it's about a woman who made a short horror film. And there's a scene in the short horror film that when everyone sees it, they're like, how the fuck did she do that? And gets her to meet with a Hollywood producer who pretty much steals her movie.
Oh, God.
She signs a contract stating her as the director of her movie, and they're trying to find someone to front money to produce so they can make the movie, and he ends up stealing her movie idea from her and kicking her off the project.
Whoa.
So
Eek.
She finds a person who can do curses and sends a curse on this man for fucking her over. which sends her on a journey where she encounters vampires, zombies, evil spirits, and turns all of Hollywood upside down while trying to get her revenge.
What?
Oh my god, I need to watch this.
Yeah, this sounds amazing.
The first 2 episodes are all set up, so like it's kind of slow to begin with, but after episode 2 is when shit starts to get real, and I'm excited to continue watching the next episode. But I will say the first 2 episodes are really good. It's really well acted, and I think it's going to get pretty fucked up. I will say, for people who are sensitive about animal deaths, there is at least episode 2, one involving a cat.
Ooh.
No.
So I will put that there as a caveat.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Thank you. I can probably mentally prepare myself and then hug my cats afterwards.
Yeah,
because it kind of comes out of nowhere, and
I hate that.
I was surprised by it myself. I know a lot of people get sensitive to animal deaths, and especially like if it's just not expected.
Yes.
And that's just
I hate
whoa.
that.
So I figured it's better to let everyone know ahead of time before they dive in and kind of get fucked up from it.
Yeah, that's why it's like when you watch a horror movie and you see like the people have like a dog or something, and they've been having it a long time, then you just know, okay, something bad's gonna happen to the dog. At least I can have some time to prepare for it because it doesn't happen all the way, like straight away.
Yeah.
Was that Chekhov's dog? If you see a dog in the first season or first scene, you know something bad's gonna happen.
Yep. If I see an animal like straight away, I'm like, fuck.
That's
you know that dog's gonna die.
Yeah. Well, the thing is the movie Crawl. Have you guys seen it?
Yeah, with the alligators.
The alligator movie, yeah. They fucked you up with that. They always kept teasing about, something's gonna happen to the dog. And I was like, no, please don't let anything happen to the dog.
Wasn't that like Meg, too? The little dog in the pool of water?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I hate it when they like tease you with this, and then you're like dying, like you're in a puddle of, stress, like anxiety-induced puddle of sweat, and you're like, did something happen? They're like, no, it's fine. And you're like, okay, thank God, but still you're like suffering through the entirety of it.
Who wrote the book? Do you know?
I can get it real quick. I forget his name right now, but he only wrote a handful of books, and then that was it.
Disappeared. Well, while Rich looks that up, I'm going to plug our previous episode discussing another Nick Antosca story, The Quiet Boy, that Pete Kale of Bloodshot Books was a guest on. The Quiet Boy is also going to be the basis of the forthcoming feature film Antlers, which, thanks to COVID-19, we have been waiting 2 fucking years for this movie to finally come out.
I can't wait for that movie.
I'm really excited for the movie. So the author's name is Todd Grimson.
When did the book come out? Was it
the book came out in 1996.
Okay.
Oh.
Because this sounds like, and I know I think I talked about this last summer, but the Silent Scream, David S. Shaw anthology, it sounds like a mix of a couple of those stories, which I'm not complaining about because they were all awesome stories. So.
And he only has 3 novels under the name Todd Grimson. There is Stainless, which is like a vampire novel, and then Stabs at Happiness.
I like that.
And it looks like Stabs at Happiness is available on the Kindle. And that's just a short story collection.
Apparently,
brandy cherry flavors out of print.
Yeah, although apparently an audiobook is available through Audible. So
is the author, is he still alive?
I think so.
I'm full of the questions to stump everybody. I was just wondering because maybe then he'll be like, yeah, sure, put out my book.
But yeah, so far the show is really good. I'll report back after I finish, or maybe we'll have all watched it by the time next episode comes.
Yeah,
probably not.
I mean,
I
maybe.
doubt I will, but we'll see. I would like to. I'm going to at least try to start the first episode. We'll see.
Fair.
So, Mike, what about you?
Well, the only thing that I read this week isn't really worth talking about, and I've already kind of blanked it from memory for the most part. You ever have one of those books that is just so middle of the road, like you get a review copy, but by the time you're done with it, you don't even want to write a review because you're just sick of dealing with it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So that was a book that I read this week that, off the heels of Stephen King's Billy Summers, which I shredded last week, I'm going to give this book a pass. I had a bit of a slump.
Yeah, it seems like it.
But I did start reading off of Rich's recommendations from the last couple episodes, and having followed Beau Johnson on Twitter, have been wanting to check out his books for a while. So I finally started A Better Kind of Hate, which is Beau Johnson's first story collection. And I'm just under a quarter of the way into that. And I just have to echo what Rich has said in previous episodes. This is fucking fantastic. The stories are it's fucking dark, brutal, gory, noir, and it's fantastic. I just 20% in, I'm going to rain superlatives down on it. It's really, really great, edgy crime fiction, and I am really looking forward to getting back into this. And yesterday, I got my copy from the Kickstarter funding of the Matthew M. Bartlett tribute anthology, Hymns of Abomination.
Oh, yes.
Ooh.
So I have got some good reading ahead of me here, at least.
Yes, you do.
That's amazing.
Matt?
And what about you, Matt?
Oh, man. I probably am in the same boat. This week has been kind of a wacky week, so I didn't get as much reading done as I would have liked. I didn't really start anything new since last week, besides what we're talking about today. So I don't have a lot to discuss because I'm almost done with Fastarian. That's still killing it. The Star Wars High Republic book I'm reading, that has gotten actually pretty neat. They've introduced this like weird clan of masked wearing marauder killer people. And they're going around just killing everybody. And so that's been fun to read. But no, this week has just been a little wild. So nothing new from me.
Now, this clan that wears masks, how do they feel about the people that don't wear masks?
They don't like them.
They don't like them. That's fair.
and they murder them and steal all their stuff.
I think that's fair. I like their approach.
I will say I really like, this is, I think I said last week, this is set 200 years before Phantom Menace and everything. So it's interesting because it's still, you always kind of, when you read these futuristic kind of books, especially with Star Wars, they kind of, it still seems like they have all this really fancy technology, even though it's still 200 years in the past. But they are introducing this kind of neat, like, I think the concept of, and this is all dorky talk, so sorry everybody who's not into really dorky Star Wars stuff, but I think they're introducing this new way for their hyperspace travel, because currently in the book they only have certain lanes they can take. But this crazy clan, they have they can just jump anywhere. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. They're introducing that part of the story. So anyway, I'm enjoying it a lot. It's a lot of fun. They have some really neat, Yoda's in it, but he hasn't come out very much. And it's just, I like the concept of this gang of masked people. It was just kind of neat. I don't know. I've only read a couple of the Star Wars stuff, but they let them go a little wild. I don't know if any of you read Phasma, but they did a whole Mad Max thing in there, which was really cool. So I'm liking that they're exploring different kind of things instead of sticking straight Star Wars.
I only read 2 of the Disney Star Wars books. I read the novelization of, what was it? The Force Awakens. Mm-hmm. By Alan Dean Foster, who I found out didn't get royalties from it, so I was kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
And then I read the first Thrawn book by Timothy Zahn, and I fucking hated it.
Yeah.
And that was it.
That's fair. I like when he did the first, way back in the day, when he did Heir to the Empire and all that stuff.
Those are good. Those are really good.
I liked them. The second one took me a little bit harder to get through than the first one. But I can understand not being able to get through it, the Thrawn thing. So,
but Vladimir, what about you?
I have not been in the reading game for this week. It's been kind of, really busy with work started and everything. But I just started reading The Corpse Garden, the short story collection by S.H. Cooper.
Nice.
And I finished 2 stories already, and I'm on the 3rd one yet, and I'm enjoying them. They're nice.
S.H. Cooper's really good.
Yeah, this is actually my first time going into her story, so I'm really, really excited. I'm going to finish that one before I go into Inheriting Her Ghost. I've got an arc from her.
Excellent.
And from what I've heard from other people reading it, it's really good.
Yeah, I'm excited to check those out. I really like the one story we did, and she's really cool. So
yeah,
nice.
No, S.H. Cooper is a great author.
Yeah, so I'm excited to finish that collection at least. I also went and saw Suicide Squad.
Yay! Wait, Mike, did you see it?
I did. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was really good. Did not expect it to be so fucking gory, but I really appreciate it.
It was really gory.
Like, super gory.
Yes. I love that King Shark money shot where he's framed by the lightning.
Yes.
Tearing a soldier in half. That was great.
That was perfect.
It was so good. And it surprised me to know, to find out that Sylvester Stallone spoke, narrated him. I'm like, then when I'm replaying it back in my head, I'm like, yep, no, actually that makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Yes.
And
So smart, me.
I love when it's like, he's like, I'm going to wear disguise.
Yeah.
What kind of disguise you going to wear?
mustache. Drawn on his finger.
Yeah. And it's like, still tell it's you. And he's like, fuck.
These characters were everything. I loved Idris Elba. He is so much fucking better than Will Smith.
Yes.
Idris Elba was great.
I want him to be like in more Suicide Squad films, or just do a standalone movie with him. Because,
I want the movie of him shooting Superman.
Yes. I want that, because that character, I loved him. I related to him a lot more than what Will Smith was playing. Even though when you watch it back like beside each other, they are really similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, originally that was written for Will Smith's character, and then Will Smith wouldn't return to the movie, so they had to change a few things to make it similar but different.
But I'm really happy that it didn't go along with Will Smith, because I fucking hate him. He's such an overrated fucking actor. I hate him.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's in Scientology doesn't make it any better.
No, not at all.
So I was really happy. We're gonna get that English bloke, Idris Elba. Let's just pick him. And I'm like, yes. Have you seen him in Luther? He's amazing.
He is amazing.
He's a really great actor. Like The Wire, he's really great in The Wire.
Wire was fantastic.
Oh yeah. And just the chemistry between him and John Cena, it was just so good. Like chef's kiss.
Yes.
Amazing.
I guess James Gunn wrote and they filmed and wrote a mini series on John Cena's character, and HBO Max picked it up.
It'll be out in January.
So crazy.
I saw that. I was like, oh my god, how are you going to make a series out of this character?
Yeah.
It's going to be mayhem.
Yes.
I loved Polka Dot Man.
Oh god, yes.
All the scenes when he's just looking at everyone as his mother, I thought that was perfect.
That was
when they kill all the freedom soldiers, and the woman's like, what happened? Like, oh, no one was there. Then he just goes, I turned them all into my mother in my head and killed them.
I just loved that the beginning had all these big actors, and spoiler alert, they don't last very long. Yeah.
I was shocked when Pete Davidson's face got shot off.
I know.
Or Michael Rooker. I was like, why? He's a great actor.
Right? I was so excited, and then just I have him die. Just like, damn.
Captain Boomerang.
And also die such a cowardly death. I was like,
yes.
Oh, damn it.
I was kind of sad they killed off Captain Boomerang so early.
Yeah.
I I agree. But he did have a magnificent death.
He did.
He did.
I mean, he still, his hand stood tall with.
Also, I died laughing at the beginning when the weasel just jumped off the helicopter and was drowning.
And drowned.
Anyone check to see if he can swim?
That was so perfect.
I love that movie. They did us so much better with this one. And actually, I think I found also that Harley, this type of Harley, was much better than the original Suicide Squad and also in Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
Like, this is how I envisioned Harley.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Margot Robbie does a great job with that character, though.
Yeah.
She
He does. I honestly want to see David Ayer's original cut of Suicide Squad.
I'm very curious.
If said
especially
cut
after,
exists.
yeah, especially after seeing Zack Snyder's Justice League, I am very curious to see what a DC movie looks like without Warner Brothers meddling in it, like we got with James Gunn's Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Like when you let a creator go in and do what they want to do, and turns out they can turn out a pretty damn good movie when there's not interference.
Exactly.
Also, I will say I'm happy James is going to use Starro the Conqueror and made Starro extra gross.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome kaiju fight at the end. That was beautiful.
I thought it was also funny that when he, the tech guy screamed, "It's a kaiju!" And I was like, wait, does the DC universe know what a kaiju is?
Yeah, right.
It's like, do they know this reference? Have you seen Godzilla?
Also, like the movie took some really dark turns I wasn't expecting with the Thinker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
That was pretty disturbing.
some little fucked up implications that happened.
Yes.
Yes, especially like they were still alive, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're torturing them and sawing off limbs and everything." But it's all in the face of science and America's protection. I'm like, what the fuck? Like I felt like I was the rat girl, and I was like, yeah, nope. I'm taking that shit to the press.
Oh my god, amazing! That was such a fun movie.
It was great.
It was really nice. I also started actually watching What If.
The first episode of What If as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
Captain Carter.
That was great.
I want more of that, please.
It was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun, but a bit too rushed. I think they would have probably handled it better if they had made it maybe, an hour long, something like that.
Yeah.
Most of it kind of felt like retreading the original Captain America movie, but with Peggy Carter instead. And then the ending was like very different.
Yeah.
I am hoping we get a live action Captain Carter at some point in this multiverse journey.
I want that.
Has anyone here read the Hellboy comics?
Not all of them, but
No, only a handful.
Did the ending tentacle thing make you think of Hellboy a little bit? Because I got Hellboy vibes from that.
Yeah.
I said to crack up, Howard Stark had such the 1930s fast talker voice. I couldn't stop laughing at it.
And I'm still happy that they brought Dominic Cooper to narrate his voice because he is perfect as Howard Stark.
Yeah, that was it was cool that they got a lot of the voices to do everybody. So I thought that was fun. But yeah, I'm hoping like you said, Rich, I'm hoping that they're not all just retreads of the stories that we've seen already. Because it would just be
one of them is they hinted at doing a Marvel Zombies type thing with.
Oh yeah, I did see that they were going to do that, and
so.
So from the Marvel Zombies books, or
like they showed Zombie Captain America and and then they had Spider-Man as Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so that'll be cool.
I'm curious to see if they're going to do a couple individual episodes introducing these different characters, and then do an Avengers team up at the end with Captain Carter leading them, and then you'll have the Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and T'Challa is supposed to be Star-Lord.
Yeah. That'll be interesting.
That'd be interesting.
Did hear rumor that the tentacle monster is going to be possibly what pulls into the next big arc. So we'll see.
Interesting.
Yeah, because he's supposed to be he is something in the comics. I just can't remember what his name is off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think he's a Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Creature.
Also, speaking of Disney Plus, I started watching a show at work with the students that I thought was going to be terrible, but I ended up having a lot of fun with it. If you're in the mood for a light-hearted, kind of like action type of show, Turner and Hooch is surprisingly a lot of fun.
I was not expecting that.
It's surprisingly a lot of fun. I am surprised myself. I thought it was going to be terrible, but it's actually pretty good.
That's hilarious.
The second episode, they have like a total homage to Die Hard.
Nice.
And, like, none of the kids got, but I thought it was really funny.
That's hilarious.
The Turner and Hooch show is better than I thought it would be.
But I never thought you said that.
Doesn't make you want to watch the original movie?
Honestly, I saw the movie when I was a kid. I liked it a lot when I was a kid. I haven't seen it since then.
That's the thing.
like Tom
Did it
Hanks.
age well? That's what you sometimes need to check out.
We'll find out.
Like a lot of the stuff that you liked as a kid, when you're watching it now, you're like, oh, nope.
Yeah.
We'll find out. I think some stuff holds up pretty well. Some of the 80s stuff holds up better than the 90s stuff.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah. I'm clutching my Back to the Future movies in my arms, like, yeah, nope, you touch them. It aged well, no matter what you guys say.
Oh, no, Back to the Future, you don't touch those.
No, you don't.
I mean, that's true. You don't. You just remind it. I think I've talked about it. It's a lot more rapey and racist than you realize.
But I think get his comeuppance, so yay.
Yes, this is true.
That is true. I will say one last thing for me is I finished Suburban Gothic.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
And it is a lot of fun. It's nowhere near as fucked up as a lot of the stuff that happens in Freak Show, which makes me happy.
That's good.
Because Freak Show
was like extreme horror.
Yeah.
Yeah. Freak Show it just ends up desensitizing you.
Oh, yeah.
Because, it's just nothing but extreme violence and rape for, most of that book. And it kind of loses its punch, especially when the characters are kind of paper thin.
Yeah.
So you can't really form a connection with them.
Yeah.
The characters feel more dynamic in this, which I think is thankful to Brian Keene and Brian Smith working together. And there's some really fucked up shit that happens in this book. I think they might have topped some of the shit that happens in Freak Show.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's really fucked up at a few points. But overall, it was pretty fun, over the top. There was a nice little Ed Lee homage in the book as well.
Oh, nice.
The whole thing is just a love letter to extreme horror.
Perfect.
And I think it works really well in that way. If you don't like extreme horror, you're not gonna like this book.
Yeah, it kind of describes itself, of course.
Yeah, and if you haven't read Urban Gothic, I would suggest reading that before Suburban Gothic. And I'd say Urban Gothic is more necessary pre-reading than Freak Show is.
Huh.
Like, you could read this book without having read a Freak Show, and you wouldn't really be lost.
Oh man.
The only thing
We read that thing for nothing.
The only thing that would help is, what's his name? Dr. Nightmare? The guy who runs the Freak Show stuff?
Yeah.
He comes into play, and what he's been trying to do. And they explain that a bit more of what the purpose of the entities that create the Freak Show are and what they're trying to accomplish. But it's more about Urban Gothic than it is about the freaks.
Well, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think that's okay.
I will say, though, there is a scene that involves an octopus being sewn into a woman.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
And it had a pretty funny joke at the end of it where one of the characters says goodbye to her. It's bye, Octopussy.
Oh, God.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
And one of the characters is just I wish I thought of that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's wild. So, the movie, the books goes a lot of places.
Oh, boy.
That's insane.
Yeah, there's also a scene that involves a person getting ripped apart by vehicles where they like wrap chains around the limbs of a person and drive vehicles in different directions.
Nice.
There's some good creative gore scenes in this book.
Oh, crazy.
And they actually kind of made the inbreds from Urban Gothic kind of sympathetic. Because, like, the book's more about the family from Urban Gothic than it is about the humans that have wandered in and now they're kind of fucked.
Yeah.
It's more about just, like, what has happened to this family of inbred monsters and how they're trying to survive and how society views them. And there's also commentary about, like, the coronavirus and all that stuff, too.
Just a poor family trying to make it in America.
I mean, yeah, they're just trying to eat humans and live unnoticed.
We can all relate.
They just want to be left alone. It really is what it is they want to be left alone.
That I can definitely relate to.
People keep on fucking that up.
Yep, I get that part. I can relate.
Until they're hungry, and then they got to invite people.
Well, in this one, they have someone who provides them food.
Oh, God.
But the person's like a human trafficker. So, like, they're getting kind of like nobodies, essentially.
Oh, no. That's terrible.
So they're eating a lot of homeless people?
Yeah.
That's just horrible. Oh, God.
So, yeah, it's the book's pretty fucked up.
It sounds like it.
But I would say it's not as disgusting as their Freak Show is, because their Freak Show just makes you feel kind of gross reading it. This doesn't really have that same effect, which I think makes it a bit better. I feel bad about like how much I crap on Freak Show because I like Bryan Smith's other stuff.
Yeah. What few of his things I've read, that was really the biggest miss for me.
Yeah. Like, I like his other stuff that I've read, but that book is just not for me. I think my next extreme horror read's going to be Big Head by Ed Lee, though, so that'll be a fun one.
There you go. Yeah.
But I think we're ready to get lost in a forest, unless you guys have anything else you want to recommend.
Nope.
No, I'm good.
All right, time to get lost in the forest and relive some childhood trauma with Astrum by Sean M. Thompson. So Astrum is about a man who's going hiking in the woods with his daughter, and she gets lost, and he gets stuck in a time loop.
Something, yeah.
Something.
He ends up traveling in different moments of his life, and the future, and the past, and reliving the traumas that have made him, and the decision he has to make to get his daughter back.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to describe this book before we get into full spoiler.
Yeah, I think it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one to describe. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun, and I think he did a great job managing these time loops and jumps.
Also conveying the fucked up feelings the narrator is like having.
Yes.
Yeah, very much so. For me personally, anytime I crack open a book and it's got an epigraph that is X-Files dialogue,
yes,
it's an instant winner for me. I'm thinking this is going to be pretty damn good.
Yes.
That I'm so happy I wasn't the only one who felt that. I was like, I am in an X-Files episode and I'm loving every single one of every single second of it.
I mean, I flipped past the cover and the table of contents, and boom, there's dialogue from Mulder and Scully from the opening episode where Scully says, "You're saying time disappeared? Time can't just disappear. It's a universal invariant."
Yep.
Mulder, not in this zip code.
Yep.
And that sets the stage perfectly for what we're going to get with this book.
Yeah.
Exactly. I just felt like I was watching the season finale of season 7 when Mulder disappeared.
Yeah, where he's abducted.
That's basically what I was feeling the entire time. I'm like, okay, so this is like the alternative universe of Mulder, and this, and in this universe he has a daughter, and he's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get this too. I know for some reason we always seem to jump right to the end when we discuss this thing.
Yeah.
I didn't do that though. Now.
On that note, I had a similar thought though, Villamay, because it was kind of like that extended scene of the alien abduction, kind of like that season 7 end and season 8 opener where Mulder has been abducted and he's being experimented on, and you've got the red laser and the buzzsaw cutting open Mulder's chest, and this was supremely uncomfortable for me to read. At the end there, he gets Sean gets into some very graphic descriptions of what an alien abduction would entail, and it's fucking wonderful. It's unsettling and squirm-inducing, but it's fantastic. It's wonderful.
I really, really like this one. Yeah, it was just a mind fuck.
It was.
100%.
The atmosphere of the story was perfect.
Yes.
The voice was handled really well. They did a great job of showing us this character's life experiences in a very short amount of time.
Exactly. He didn't really, throw stuff at us. He just, sprinkled it throughout the story in an organic way.
Yeah. Well, and it was interesting because I don't want to say the formatting, but the way he did it, there were scene breaks, but when he was jumping into time, there wasn't a scene break. It would be one sentence, and then the next sentence he'd be with his wife, or it would be one sentence, and then the next one he'd be with the teacher, and which was awesome because it gets you right in that headspace of you're like, I don't know where I am or what I am or what time I am in. You would think in those cases that it would have been like a scene break to show us that we're in the past or the future or whatever. But in this one, he didn't. And I think that worked better for it because it kept you on your toes.
You got to be just as disoriented as he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it was really marvelous effect.
I also love the moments where he's reliving parts in his past and the aliens are using those to talk to him.
Like the 12-year-olds basically give us what we want and we'll go away.
But it's also, I think what I also loved what he wrote, especially in the scene when he is, finally abducted, they you don't really get what they want.
Yeah.
Like he described, they just do.
Yes, I love that. That was
and I
great.
loved that. I was like, that's my definition of what if aliens existed, that's how they would be.
Yes.
Yep.
I always think that's the scarier thing about anything is when they're not doing it out of maliciousness, they're just doing it and they don't even care it's you.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like that scene in Mars Attacks.
Yes.
You're like, they might be doing it out of malicious content, but also they might be doing it out of just for the fuck of it. But also they're just doing it because they can.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that make cosmic horror in general as a genre work so well is that there is that
indifference.
Indifference. They just don't give a fuck. They're just there to do it. You've got the cosmic horrors of Lovecraft where it's like you're just food to them. They don't care. You're your slaves or your food, and they don't care about you. You don't matter.
Yep.
You're on a cosmic scale. You're nothing. And here we get that same kind of premise where these aliens are doing it. We're just lab subjects for them. We're things to be experimented on. We are to them what the frog on the science dissection table is for us.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You Americans, not me. I never experienced that shit when I was in school.
You didn't do any
fucking God.
No dissections at all. They didn't do anything with pig fetuses or worms or anything.
The frogs,
babies, anything.
Babies.
Wait, did you guys not do babies?
No.
No, Mike. We did not harvest adrenochrome in school.
No, only if you were if you went for that specific subject in biology when you were in high school, or if you went into university, that's when you did it. But in public high school or public elementary, nothing like that.
How?
What do you mean how?
I mean, it's kind of like a rite of passage for us here in America.
No.
Yeah, because we always had the kids who couldn't do it. They couldn't stomach it, and they had to opt out. And we had the other ones who were carving open the frog and throwing organs in the hair of the people in front of you.
really describes you guys so well, doesn't it?
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the day covered in like.
I think that's probably why we Icelanders are more pacifist than if anything.
Yeah. I mean, look, we graduate high school reeking of formaldehyde and pig fetus organs. So
Hey, I only dissected frogs, man.
you only did frogs?
Only did frogs.
Wow.
I think I always did a cow lung. I don't remember doing a frog.
I did a shark eye once.
Oh yeah, we did an eye. I don't remember if it was a shark eye or not, but yeah, we might have had a cow eye actually. It was a really big eyeball we had to carve open.
So yeah, nope, not here.
Not there, yeah.
At least not to my knowledge. At least not in my high school. I asked my coworker who lived in Reykjavik, and she was like, "Nah, just when I was in biology in university, I had to do it." And I'm like, "Okay, so we're not sickos here." She's like, "No, not really." but then she kind of said like, "But I think it probably has to do with resources. We don't really have that stuff lying around for people to do." And I was like, yeah, I guess that's a good point.
You just buy it on Amazon. What's the issue?
Amazon doesn't ship to Iceland, fucker.
Oh. Well, all right.
It's all Amazon's fault.
It's all Amazon's fault. I mean, I missed out a great opportunity here when I was a kid. Amazon wasn't even there when I was a kid, but oh well, it doesn't matter.
So with the dissection, is that just like an Icelandic experience, or are you kind of representative of Europe as a whole? Do you know?
I think it's more like an Icelandic thing. I've heard. I remember I posted this question on Twitter because I had just finished watching the scene in Slasher.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when they were doing the dissection, and in return the murderer decided to do the dissection on the woman.
Yes.
It was like a vivisection actually though. And I remember I was like, why is this so common in all these high school movies or in these kind of slasher movies? So I posted this question on Twitter. And I think I got the majority of answers all from America. They were like, yeah, we did that. And then there were some parts, like in Britain, and some parts in Europe, but they were like, yeah, but no, it's not that often. If it was usually frogs, I think.
Well, I mean, keep in mind, too, America is still a very young country. We're quite a bit backwards from the rest of the world.
Yeah.
A lot of policies and public health approaches. So it's like here in America, it's like, well, you have to learn how to dissect a frog because one day you're going to need health care and you're going to have to do this to yourself.
I was just going to say that. I'm not even kidding. I was just going to mention that. Like,
we're not going to give you free medical treatment, kid. This is going to cost you millions of dollars. You're going to have to operate on your own lung if you expect to live. So you better learn it now while you're 8. So
and it's well known that that humans and frogs have the same anatomy.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's all about steeling yourself for it, right? You have to become mentally detached. You have to disassociate yourself in order to become this medical professional who is willing to carve into other people and yourself. So you start small. You start with animals. It's like the progression of a serial killer. You start with a little cat, and then you move up to the pig fetus. And then the next thing you know, you're going on to the neighbor, and then you've got to do yourself. So, I mean, it's frontier medicine. This is how we started it, right?
I was going to say it's more of like a condemnation on our biology knowledge to think that, well, if I dissect a frog, I know that frogs can sort of breathe underwater and we can sort of breathe underwater. It's got to be the same.
It's the same.
I just thought it was, for me.
A frog has lungs, I have a lung. We are the same.
I just thought it was really unnecessary because you can get these kind of textbooks. At least when I was learning biology, they had like really vivid descriptions and photos of it. So I was like, isn't that enough?
You gotta touch it.
Not.
You gotta get your hands dirty.
Fuck no.
Honestly, I'm kind of
I want to
surprised.
do that.
Given how anti-science the Texas Board of Education is, which is a school board body that for Texas, but they define the curriculum of what textbooks are going to be for the entire U.S. And given how anti-science they are, I'm surprised dissections are still a thing because it's kind of like,
What the
Just
fuck?
to teach us what to eat. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, they
Yeah.
don't even want you teaching like evolution. They're like, oh no, you got to include both sides. We got to include creationism alongside evolution. So you have scientific fact and then you have made up bullshit. They're
We have
equal.
fiction.
They're equal and you have to teach them both.
Well, see, again, this explains more why we think frogs and humans are so similar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Why are there still monkeys if humans evolved? If America was founded by English people, why is there still an England?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
But we're trailing a little bit far.
Yeah.
From the story, aren't we?
So yes, that's why we have dissection in American high schools. Is ultimately we feel we're going to have to do this to ourselves, and it's best to be prepared.
And this is why aliens do it to us, because they're going to have to be prepared to do it to themselves.
Well, the story also has some fucked up moments that happen to our character too.
I mean, you go to high school, right? Your odds of getting shot nowadays are like 10 and 9. You've got to be able to carve the bullet out of yourself before you go home. Otherwise, you're going to be bleeding all over your carpet. Your mom's going to
You gotta
pissed.
be able to cauterize that wound yourself.
Right, exactly, yes. And if you're not taking care of it on a pig fetus, you can't take care of it on yourself.
That's true. Good point.
So
These are all fair
wear
points.
bulletproof backpacks along with your COVID masks and stay safe.
Yeah.
Always
America.
be sure to use hand sanitizer before you touch anyone else's scalpel.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Don't share scalpels. That's nasty.
And we think the aliens in this book are the monsters.
Yes.
Yes.
Or sorry, novelette.
You bastard. I can't believe it.
One step too far.
Matt, why you got to be so political?
You know. I mean, it's all politics, right?
It is.
I will say one thing that that's been very relevant in the horror community, sadly, that I think this book did well is content warnings.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. I really agree.
What
I'm
else?
glad we've decided to turn away from this whole teaching the controversy.
Yeah.
What I will say, and I don't know if this happened to anyone else for their Kindle, did it like start right on the story for you, or did you have to? That's so weird. So it skipped
It started
over
on the story for me.
Yeah,
Everything.
it may have, but I don't remember because I always go back to the beginning, regardless of where it starts. Because I want that experience. I want to look at the cover. I look at the table of contents. I'm definitely like a front to back reader. So don't start me at the fucking first page of the story because I cycle back.
It's so wacky. Why? I don't know why they did that. I mean, I know that they do that for all of their stuff. I don't know if they just assume people have no patience to scan through 3 or 4 pages.
Yeah. I don't know.
It also helps too for like the whole idea of trigger warnings, of people claiming they spoil things or people being like they're optional. By starting us at the beginning, it gives us the choice to go back if we want to.
Yeah.
So for people who don't go back,
they'll never know until they see the
the ending.
Yeah.
His
end
author's notes.
I'm glad, you know, I think it might have to do with because my Kindle is like the first or second edition. It's really fucking old, guys. I don't even get the covers or anything.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's like the when it was like first got out or something. I don't know. And if Rich hadn't put it like on our Discord that they had like a content warning in it, I would have stumbled upon that particular scene and be like, fuck.
Yeah.
Because if he managed to warn me about that, so I was like, okay, there's gonna be something that is gonna be really, really disturbing. And then when I got to it, I was like, yep, that was really, oh my god, my stomach churned. I felt really bad.
Yeah, I had a moment of that myself, and I think
too.
that's one of these arguments that content warnings spoil things. It's like, not really. Because even though I knew based on the content
was going to
warning
happen,
that it was going to happen, but you don't know where, when, how,
why.
Yeah. So it's still came as a bit of a surprise, and you read it, and it was a gut punch, even with that content warning.
Looking at the parts of him like shooting up heroin and stuff, that was also like, that was hard to read.
Yeah.
So I think he did a really good job of explaining why he used content warnings in his essay at the back of the book. And given all of the back and forth that has been taking place in online discourses on Facebook and on Twitter, this is one that we can add to the sensible takes on content warnings and why authors may want to use them.
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
In here, Sean says, look, I consider myself a horror writer. My goal is to scare people. I want to disturb and terrify. My goal is not and has never been to traumatize people, or rather to re-traumatize people. I don't take any of this stuff lightly. I think people can get confused by the fact I write about monsters, ghosts, aliens into thinking, since I write about what some would deem silly, outlandish things, that when I incorporate very real, very disturbing things that occur in our daily lives into my fiction, I'm more or less laughing about it, twiddling my thumbs and drooling, getting some sort of sick thrill out of it, in other words. Nothing could be further from the truth. I am a deeply empathetic person. I feel what every character feels in a story of mine, even the most minor ones. And then he goes on to say that not everyone has signed on for graphic violence and drug use, and most importantly, a deeply disturbing scene of child molestation. So I choose to use a content warning. And I think that is a very fair take on it.
Yeah.
I agree.
I totally agree. It's just, it definitely, like you said, it was a gut punch.
Yeah, it was a huge gut punch.
And it just left a really, really bad taste in your mouth. You're like, because it was in his, in the narrator's head, and it was just his, it was his memory, and he had to relive it again. And I'm just like, Jesus fucking Christ, that's horrifying.
Yeah, I mean, with the teacher, he is very much reliving that trauma. And for readers who have been subjected to that kind of abuse, that rape, let's be honest as to what that scene was. It was child rape.
Yep.
That, if you're a reader who encounters that without any warning whatsoever, even if you're not aware of when or where or how it will come up in the story, I think just having that knowledge at the front is useful information to decide, do I want to go through with this or not? Do I want to be taken by surprise by this act that's going to be fictionalized and possibly send me spiraling into issues that I don't want to confront right now?
Yeah.
And I think it's a fair heads up to give your audience that these are the things you're going to be encountering. We do it with movies and television and video games. We tell you that there's sexual content, there's violence, there's drug use.
Parental advisory in music.
Yeah. Yes. I don't know why there's this adamant stance that literature should be free of those kind of constraints.
I agree.
No one is calling for a supervisory body like the MPAA, but I think it does behoove the author or the publisher to be aware of what they're selling and who they are selling it to, and try and give a heads up.
Yeah, Sean also puts it really, I think what all authors, I can't speak for everyone, but it's just like for what most authors wouldn't want to do. They want to entertain readers or, make them enjoy it. They do not want to traumatize them.
Yeah. I mean, that's not to discount that I'm sure there are some horror authors out there who do get this kind of sick thrill, who are adamantly against content warnings because they do want to maliciously imbibe their readers with these graphic depictions of sexual violence, of rape and assault and drug abuse, and think, I'm going to send this guy spiraling. That's going to be hilarious. And then they're going to share the 1-star review of, I'm being censored.
For instance, I don't like this person's writing very much, but Matt Shaw, I'll give him credit for his take on trigger warnings.
Yeah.
And how he views trigger warnings, because he knows he's writing fucked up stories that are going to trigger people, and he understands that not everybody wants to read that, and the last thing he wants to do is set someone into like an anxiety spiral on touching someone's triggers. I can respect that about him.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like for instance, if we discussed The Pig by Ed Lee.
Yeah.
I think Ed Lee is not trying to trigger people. He's trying to gross people out and make people laugh, but I don't think Ed Lee's trying to send people into like reliving their own traumas.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think there's that intent where it's meant to be harmless fun.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if we can get you to spit up your lunch, that's great. But we don't want to send you running back to the therapist asking for an increase in medication because you read this fucking book.
Yeah. And sometimes like books and stories can touch on things that trigger that response in us.
Yeah.
Like I can tell you, I've only ever been triggered by one story, and that's it. But it was a play called Blasted. It ends. It's about. Was it Croatia that had the Civil War back in the 90s?
I mean, one of them, sure.
A European country, but it was about that. It was a jet metaphor for that. And it's about this couple staying in a hotel room, and the soldier breaks into their hotel room and starts like invading their personal space and pretty much makes them like rape each other. And it ends with like the man in a crater where the hotel used to be in a fetal position eating a baby fetus to like sustain him.
Oh my god!
What
This is a play. Like it was written to be a play, and discussing that in a college setting, like after that class was over, I had to go to the bathroom and like recollect myself for like 15 minutes, and it was just so much to take in, and. That's the only time I've ever been affected by literature, I should say.
Yeah,
I think so.
I don't think I have ever been to that extent. And the closest that I've probably ever come was Jack Ketchum's The Girl Next Door. And that just made me hate humanity for days on end. But it's not really a far leap for me to do that to begin with. But
yeah,
I understand, too, that there is this bit of privilege that I have that I'm not going to be, or I can presume that I won't be triggered by whatever the content warning is advising us of. The scene involving our narrator and his school teacher absolutely twisted my guts. That was some hard shit to read. But I also,
even though it was really brief, thank God for that.
Yeah.
It had that much of an impact on you.
Yeah, but I'm also very privileged that I've not had those experiences in my life, and I don't have to worry about my mental health reading that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have slowly progressed over the years to becoming more in favor of content warnings as I've gotten more sides to the story and have listened to people and their expectations and why it's important for them. And I mean, even being ambivalent about them in the beginning, that's a special kind of privilege in its own right. And I think these people that it can say that it's like Nazism, that content warnings is comparable to the Holocaust or censorship, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And they are extraordinarily privileged in that thinking that Though that side of the argument I don't get. I do understand people wanting to take a cautious approach to it. But again, I don't think anybody is calling for a governing body to supervise these things, because it would be hell on the arts and on literature if we had to go through an MPAA type body where you can have all the violence you want and it could be PG-13, but if you show or write about a tit, it's an R rating.
Hey, man, there were movies in the 70s that had boobies, and those are PG.
I know. And that has changed dramatically as...
I remember when I was in high school, and it was like a sub day, and they just played Airplane for us.
Oh, my God.
And that's a PG movie.
Yeah.
But there's totally boobies in that movie.
Yeah.
And that was not fun for the sub that day.
No. The Christian right has not had a positive impact on the arts and on the MPAA. I mean, we've had movies that have been deliberately forced to be censored by the creators. We've had movies where you can depict a woman giving a man a blowjob, and that's an R-rated movie. But if you depict a man giving oral sex to a woman, that's an NC-17 unless you cut it.
I know.
If you depict homosexual acts, that's an NC-17 movie unless you cut it. Like,
I'm not even joking. If the movie that I went to see last year, it's called the Last Fishing Trip. It's an Icelandic movie. If that would have been shipped and then showed in the States, it probably would have been banned.
yeah,
because there are like six guys, like middle-aged men. They're all just going fishing, fishing for salmon. And then at one point, like they drop into the lake or something like that and get wet, and they just take off all their clothes. They are butt naked, and then they decide just to have fun and play soccer butt naked. So you just saw like 6 different cocks wiggling around.
Oh yeah, that would not be. You can't do that in America.
Exactly.
No. Well, the thing is, you can release those movies in America. You don't need the MPAA to release a film here.
Yeah, but you're not going to get a theatrical release. You're going to get a straight-to-video, unrated edition.
Yeah. So like, but I mean, they've also kind of changed. Like I think like when Brokeback Mountain came out, that was a big thing because how it detailed the gay relationship in a movie that wasn't NC-17. It got an R rating.
Well, that was a near miss also, if I recall correctly. That was a very controversial movie.
It was very close.
Yes. I think they did have to cut some out of that movie to secure an R rating.
Yeah. But it's still one of those things where, like, things change over time. But, again, like, the MPAA is not a great system.
No.
But at least letting us know what the movie contains can help us prepare for the movie.
Yeah.
Just like specific content warnings can help us prepare for the book we're about to read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I would never advocate for an MPAA system or really any system where the ruling body is old religious men. I just don't think they have what it takes to determine what is adequate viewing for the majority.
Yeah.
But I think it does behoove the author or the publisher to give some warning of what to expect. I have only used content warnings previously, and that was for Friday Night Massacre. That was the first time I ever used a content warning, although my previous books would certainly require them. There's some juicy elements in some of those that...
Oh, God.
Mass hysteria, man.
I haven't gone to that yet. Don't spoil it for me.
But I think what Sean did here, it was very sensibly handled. It was very well handled, and he communicates his thoughts and his stance on content warnings beautifully. I don't think there's any question about that. I think.
And speaking of Sean, I also like how he tackled the themes in this story about like overcoming addiction, overcoming your traumas to become the better person that like you wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like the father's undying love for his daughter, where he has to sacrifice himself in order to save her. I thought that was done really well.
Yeah,
agreed.
The ending was so fucking sad.
It was. Yep, it was bleak as fuck.
Yeah, and it was one of those things that was kind of playing in the back of my mind when he makes it out of the woods. I'm like, did you though? Did you really make it out of the woods?
Yeah,
and then we finally get that moment with him and the therapist.
Yes.
Where they want to give him like immersion therapy and take him back into the woods. And he's like, wait a minute. I've been seeing this guy for months. How do I not know your name? Do you have this other than... It's like, oh, okay, so these have just been fucking with him. I was right.
Yep.
Right. So then what do we think Nora ever got out of the woods?
There is that implication.
I wanna keep into my my childlike hope.
Yeah, I think
that you got out of there.
I think she got out of there. There's an implication that she got out, but he stayed.
And it's been promised to him that is what would happen if he went along with them.
But can you trust them?
Well, no, that's the other part of it, right? Is like, how trustworthy are these beings that
they would go to such lengths of fucking with your mind, like keeping you trapped in the woods, but at the same time you still think that you're safe.
Right.
That's what I got from them. I was like, I don't know if I can trust them though. It's like she's safe in a jar here with beside you.
I really liked that at the end where he's waking up, where he thinks he's free of the woods, and he's waking up in the morning next to this girl he's been seeing, and his throat is sore.
Yeah.
And then we find out
he's been
later.
Screaming.
Well, he's been screaming, but we also find out a few pages later when it's revealed that he's still in the abduction scenario, that he's had a feeding tube put in.
Yeah.
I thought that was a neat parallel. I keep thinking that the reason he was waking up with a sore throat is because that's when the feeding tube got put in.
Yep. Now that you mention it, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And I guess the other question is, were they actually aliens?
Well,
I think so.
Right? And that brings me to some questions that I had.
Yeah, I mean, how he described them. He always said grays, long limbs, huge eyes. I mean, that's the definite description of alien nowadays.
Yeah, that's the very standard. And a lot of this follows that usual alien sighting trope, like the missing time.
Yeah.
Or experiences with time that this guy has are very unusual. Yeah. They go a bit beyond, I think, just missing time. He goes
back and forwards in time.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm like, holy shit, I'm in a war with the red coats and the blue coats.
And then there's a lady from 2041 with a flying robot that goes in her shirt.
So it's a whole lot of mindfuck.
Yeah. And I was because he at the end there he wakes up and throughout the time in the woods he's been seeing like the dead bodies and stuff.
Yeah.
And like they're trapped there, and it seems like he's sort of still alive even though he's seen his dead body.
That's what I thought was intriguing as all fuck, was he's finding his own corpse multiple times. Like there's one scene where he thinks he's following himself, and then there's another version of him following behind, and it's pretty trippy.
And that's how it ends. That's what I loved how he started the story.
Yeah.
It ends the same way as it ends.
Well, to be more accurate, this does not end.
Yeah, exactly. It starts with the sentence, "This does not end," and it ends with the sentence, "This does not end."
Yeah, that whole first page is the same as the last page practically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is awesome.
I really liked how he did that. It looks like he has a couple other stories that take place in the same area.
Oh.
So I'm intrigued about reading some more from him.
I'm definitely going to read more from him because his how he writes is really beautiful. I mean, I managed to catch that even through all this disorientation that he was writing as the character, he also managed to sneak in these beautiful descriptions of what was happening.
Very beautiful descriptions.
Yeah, and I was like, whoa, shit, I need to read more from him.
Yeah.
Go on, Matt.
Well, and these might be same questions that you had, possibly. He talks about trying to remember something. Do we ever figure out what he was trying to remember?
Wasn't it if his daughter lived or not?
I'm wondering if that's what it is. Or if he's trying to remember that he's been here before.
Or that he's dead.
Yeah. It's all a mystery. Only time will tell.
Oh, that's what I kept felt like a thread that was going through was at the beginning. Again, that first page, he says there's something I'm trying to remember. And then he says it a couple other times, but we don't know what it is that he's trying to remember.
One of the things that I was wondering over the weekend, we were talking about this on Twitter, and we got a little bit of news from Sean. that this was somewhat based off of the Bridgewater Triangle in Massachusetts. And it just so happens we have with us today another author who wrote about the Bridgewater, whose story we had covered a few episodes back. One thing that I was wondering, because I noticed some parallels between Sean's story and your story, Rich, especially about the phone batteries on the cell phones that never die.
Yeah.
Is this a modern part of the lore? Is this something that has been added into the mythos of the Bridgewater Triangle as technology has advanced?
I think it's just Kimsit.
Okay. I wasn't sure
Sean
if you
and
guys...
I were just on a similar wavelength.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say time loops. But,
yeah, well.
But no, the way I see it, I think Sean and I were on a similar wavelength when that was going on.
Okay.
And for me, it was... For Sean, it's the aliens ship that's making it happen. For me, it was like the fact that they're in like a thinning.
Yeah. You both use this concept of a white light.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing with the Bridgewater Triangle myths is, or should I say urban legends, is UFOs are seen there. Time seems to work differently inside the Bridgewater Triangle, according to people who have been in there for a while. Some people see mysterious small little furry creatures named puckwudgies that are mischievous, and some people kind of see them as being evil. Other people have claimed to see thunderbirds, like giant prehistoric bird-like creatures.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's just a general sense of like odd weather happenstances and strange things that happen in the area.
Yeah. I noticed something that crops up between both of your stories that I'm guessing is part of the legend, as well as the redcoats. There's still that Revolutionary battle playing out in the Triangle.
Yep.
I was thinking that too.
A lot of people kind of see it as pre-revolutionary, kind of like the King Philip's War type situation, which I'd be back like 1600s.
Right.
But yeah, no, a lot of people kind of attribute a lot of what happens to like the land being tainted due to the violence that has happened.
Very cool. Well, yeah, I thought this was a neat companion piece to yours. I liked seeing the similarities in themes and concepts that played out here. Very wildly different takes on a similar topic.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of got like that little It versus Dean Koontz's Phantoms kind of playing out here. Like, oh, it's a monster in a sewer. How different can these be? Like, oh, okay. A little bit different.
Nice. Yeah, this was a fun one. I think he did a great job with the time jumps because of the whole when he would be in the past and then it would like slowly morph back into the woods.
Yes.
I thought that was a really cool touch. Remind me of like The Ritual.
I think for me it was the human element that made it the most relatable. Like as soon as I started reading about this guy and his daughter running off into the woods, she's like, oh, I see something shiny, and just takes off. And it's like, where the fuck is this kid now? It's like, okay, yep, I've been there. My 3 and 5 year old have put me through that many a times. Like,
oh yes.
They just run off and they get, oh, shiny syndrome. It's like, Daddy, look. And it's like, okay, where the fuck did they go? They were just here.
No, continue, Mike.
Oh, and I was just going to say, like, that element, too, that really, for me, helped humanize this character was his OCD, where he's got to count numbers.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, I thought that was a great element.
It was, especially I connected with him on that level because, you know, I have OCD myself. And counting any kind, even if it's numbers or anything, it really does help you calm down if you're spiraling.
That was the one of the things that kind of, like, I get it, but it felt like it kind of came and went in this story. It didn't seem like it played it felt like it was supposed to play a bigger role, but it didn't. He captured it well. I like the idea of the counting and knowing of the backpack and what was in there and hours awake and everything like that. But I just kept going it just felt like it wasn't, I don't know. It felt like it was flavor, but in this short of a story, it felt like it should have been.
Yeah, I agree. I think he should have like sprinkled it a little bit as he was, you know, being mind fucked. the entire time. He should have maybe put more elements into it.
Yeah, like it would have been fun to help with the time jump to like be like, I only got 1 granola bar, and then later be like, I have 3 granola bars, and then later I only have 0, like to kind of show us like, oh, what time is he in? I mean, I loved it. Like, I thought that was it was a nice touch, but it just felt like it was almost distracting.
I know what you mean. I know when you're putting it out that way, yeah, it definitely feels a little bit like that. But maybe it's just, like you said, maybe it's because it was short.
Yeah.
It's a short story. He couldn't really put all of it there.
Yeah.
Just had to, like, put a little bit just to give us, and also just to introduce that this thing, how OCD is.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are, mistaking what OCD is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw it more as a coping mechanism for him, and I thought it was sprinkled out there pretty well. Matt, what you're talking about, I think, is kind of paradoxical.
Yes.
The nature of it. Whereas I didn't see it like you wanted to show that there were different granola bars at different points in time. But I kind of took that as him and his belongings were fairly static, even though time was shifting around them.
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't moving through time as much as time was moving around him.
Yeah.
That's fair.
That makes sense.
Kind of like Interstellar, if you want to put it in that way.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. I still have that on my list.
Yeah.
I like that movie.
The other thing I kept wondering, and I don't know if I was the only one, was that I had a theory up until the end that he had like murder-suicide.
Yeah.
And that's why he was in the woods. And that's why he kept saying, I need to remember. Like, was that, it's not that he was just in the woods, but I kept going like, oh, he's slowly building up to this big event that he did where like he killed his ex-wife and his daughter and himself or something like that. And he's now replaying it all.
You went dark.
God damn, Matt.
I had a similar thought as Matt. I thought, okay, he's killed the daughter and this is like a psychotic break. The whole thing is just him. His mind is so fractured and from guilt.
Yeah. I mean, I thought when you put it out there, yeah, sure. I mean, I can get that, but that was not where my mind went.
Yeah, that is not where my mind went at all.
Well, you two are just nice people.
Yeah. I like kept sitting there and he's like reliving these traumatic experiences and he can't ever find his daughter and all these things. And he's just like, oh, I gotta remember. And I'm like, oh, all these traumatic experiences are building up to him. The last memory will be him with like a shotgun or something like that.
Yeah, God.
How was you feeling when you read that all the way to the end, though? Like, were you disappointed?
No, I thought it was good. I mean, I was a little sad because I was like, oh, I wanted that, but I enjoyed the way it ended up. I was like, oh, this is fun. And
damn it, another book where a kid lives.
Well, like I asked before, does the kid live? We don't know.
Right. But I mean, there is some basis for that presumption, right? At one point, he does meet a doppelganger of himself with their head has been cut in half by a shotgun.
Yeah, see?
So there is some premise that, okay, at some point in this loop, he does kill himself.
Yes. And it probably doesn't help.
Or hangs himself.
Yeah, exactly, because he's seeing those hanged bodies and everything like that, and he's like following all those corpses, and
it's how much of that is representative of his journeys through this cycle, or how much of it has to do with like a multiverse in this area, because we don't know where the aliens come from. He doesn't speculate as to if they're actually from outer space or if they're simply from another dimension.
He did actually mention like that his feeling was that they did not come from space.
Yeah. Which is another very X-Files moment we can recall from multiple seasons. Like, they've been here for a long, long time, Mr. Mulder.
Mr. Mulder.
Mr. Mulder.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. This was a really great story, though.
It was great.
It was a great pick.
Yeah, I mean, after the last couple disappointments that I've read, this was a minty, fresh breath of air right here.
You know what I'm excited about, though?
Uh-oh.
Discussing the Gotti X-Files script next weekend.
Yes.
Look at that.
Also, we are doing that next weekend. That's good to know.
Yeah, we're doing that next weekend.
Yes.
So more X-Files fun.
Yay!
I mean, I'm rewatching X-Files right now. I'm on episode now. I'm on season 8 right now with the T-1000. And my husband, he hates me because I keep going on with T-1000 jokes every single time.
Dollars
Like,
to donuts.
Ron, the T-1000 is gonna get you, or when he's shouting, he's like, he's not gonna die from this. The T-1000 never dies.
I'm very excited to dive into more X-Files. I have been wanting to give that another watch.
Yeah,
I haven't mustered up the courage to sit down for it yet, but I was obsessed with that show for so long.
It's so much fun, especially when you're discovering all those actors who's been in it. And I'm like, I think every actor that I know and actresses have been in X-Files or
I mean, it was like one of the first roles for Seth Green, Jack Black.
Yep.
Yes. With so many.
So next week we're discussing the unproduced script by Thomas Ligotti for the X-Files. Crampton. Yes. Very cool.
It is a really great script.
And are we having guests join us?
I'm talking to 2 potential guests right now.
Okay, so that's a maybe.
It's a maybe. I need to finalize a few things, but hopefully we will be accompanied by 2 people, one of whom does not like Ligotti at all but loves X-Files, and the other is a huge Ligotti fan.
Well, I mean, just to put it out there, I know Stephen King wrote an X-File episode. We could maybe tweet him and get him on.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, I think you just tag them in a Twitter post and you get a guest, right? Isn't that how that goes?
Yes, that's definitely how it works.
Stephen King, how do we get on your radar?
I don't think Stephen King does his own Twitter, though.
Well, then we'll get the guy who does his.
How do we get you on the show?
I think we just asked Richard Chismar.
Yeah.
There you go. That should be easy, right?
I have Chismar's email. I can give him an email.
There you go. No. You're supposed to tag him in a tweet.
It's only a week from now, so.
So I shouldn't email him. I should tag him in a tweet.
Emails are unprofessional. What you got to do is you tweet at them, you tag them.
Do I tag many other authors too? So I'll tag like Richard Chismar, Cemetery Dance,
Stephen King,
Bev Vincent, and then just throw a random tweet at Neil Gaiman just to get some attention to him. Yeah. Is that how it's going to go?
Does the Lewis Carroll estate have a Twitter? You could include them.
Oh, Lordy.
You got to get as many people in that tag so that then they retweet, and then you get like algorithm shit going on.
There you go.
Tweet, retweet, tweet again, quote tweet, schedule tweet, tweet.
Make a tweet that's just tagging everybody.
Just, you know what? Don't even do a tweet. Just don't write anything. Just tag. Just the whole tweet is nothing but tags.
Just yell out the window.
You should do like a Seinfeld. Do a tweet about nothing. Just tags.
I'm tweeting that now.
Tweeting it.
All right. Well, Crampton's going to be a fun episode to discuss, and I'm looking forward to it. But before then, remember, we are open for advertisements, and if you want to email us about our ad rates, you can contact us at staringintopod@gmail.com. That is staringintopod@gmail.com. And be sure to give us some reviews on the algorithms so you can help the Abyss spread around and consume all. We want some more Apple Podcast reviews. Some Spotify ranks would help us out as well. Please spare us some time and make sure that you spread us around. And let me, where can our listeners get in touch with you?
I'm always on Twitter, with my S. It's a capital S. And I'm also on YouTube with my booktube channel, Fanged Pipsqueak Reads. Finally, starting up again after summer vacation. So hopefully you'll see a lot more reviews from me there.
Perfect. And Matt, what about you?
I am on Twitter at BrandenburgDM.
And Mike, where can our listeners tag you at?
They can find me on Twitter at MikeH5856 or head over to my website at michaelpatrickhicks.com and follow some links and buy some books.
And you can follow the podcast at Into Staring, and be sure to retweet us as well. Make sure those episodes get spread out. And this is Richard Gerlach saying, keep staring.
How do people who make stuff up for a living make stuff up?
New York Times bestseller Jonathan Mayberry told us.
Oprah's book club favorite Sue Miller told us.
You sort of take a character and make some bad things happen.
How'd we get them to do that?
We colored them, just like at a cocktail party, except through your headphones.
Join us every Thursday for the Liars Club Oddcast,
a slightly unhinged podcast where storytellers interview other storytellers.
Available on Project Entertainment Network, iTunes, and everywhere podcasts are heard.
This has been a presentation of the Project Entertainment Network.